My Linux experience and some advice. Why did I switch to Linux? Around 2 years ago, I was studying online while also working. That meant I needed to carry a computer with me, so I bought a laptop specifically for that. At that point, I had been using Windows non-stop since Windows 95, all the way up to Windows 10. My first real break from Windows happened when my license expired. A relative made me try Ubuntu, and honestly, it worked better than I expected. I could even play League of Legends back then, before Vanguard became a thing. But I still wasn't convinced. So I went back to Windows. Then Windows 11 happened. My laptop had limited storage, and I didn't want to carry external drives to work. Just the laptop was already enough. But Windows 11 didn't agree with that machine. I started looking for solutions. Debloating Windows was an option, I guess, but at the time I didn't even think about that. Instead, I remembered Ubuntu. But this time, I wanted something more minimal. That's when I discovered Arch, by the way. And no, I didn't use the meme right away. Sadly, this is also where I have to agree with people who say Arch is not a distro you should recommend to a complete beginner. Getting it installed wasn't the hardest part. I followed some YouTube guides, shout out to Denture and some ordinary gamers, and of course, the Holy Bible, the Arch Wiki. The hard part was getting my workflow exactly the way I wanted it. My system. My drives. My way of doing things. You can see what I mean in this screenshot of my LSBLK. That is not exactly beginner-friendly. Most guides out there are made inside virtual machines, with one clean drive and one simple setup. My setup was not that. I had to learn about file systems, mount points, stab, partitions, and all that beautiful nonsense. So yeah, it sounds complicated. But then the obvious question is, why did I stay on Linux after all that? Because I learned. And unlike Windows, Linux rewarded me for learning. The more I learned on Linux, the more I could do with it. On Windows, the more I learned, the more I felt like I was either hitting a wall or being asked to pay for something. On Linux, learning opened doors. I discovered that, thanks to Valve and Proton, gaming was not as difficult as I expected anymore. Yes, I had to quit League of Legends. That might have been a win by itself. But plenty of games worked. Some even worked better for me than they did on Windows. I could take my classes. I could do my coding assignments. I could use the machine the way I wanted. Linux, to me, is a wild ecosystem. There are too many things to learn, even if you only want to use it for daily tasks. So here's my advice if you are starting. Pick something like Fedora, Linux Mint, CachyOS, or OpenSUSE Tumbleweed. Don't overthink it too much at first. Unless your computer is extremely old, like something still running a 32-bit system, most beginner-friendly options will get you started. And if you are dealing with very old hardware, then something Debian-based, or even Raspberry Pi OS on supported machines, might be a better idea. The important thing is not picking the perfect distro. The important thing is learning Linux. At the point I'm at now, the distro itself doesn't matter as much as it did at the beginning. I learned how to recreate my workflow on almost any distro I want. And if you decide to stay on Linux, I think that is something worth learning. Why? Because here's something I found out while distro hopping between different machines. Not every computer likes the same operating system, even if everything underneath is still Linux. Some distros are made for specific needs. Some need newer hardware. Some behave better with certain drivers. Some feel perfect on one machine and annoying on another. At some point, you will probably change computers. Or change distros. Or revive old hardware. Or need a different setup for a different job. That is why being adaptable matters. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying old hardware is useless like Microsoft sometimes wants you to believe. You absolutely can keep older machines alive with Linux. But technology keeps moving, and newer hardware replaces the older ones eventually. That's a truth we don't want to admit as Linux users that often, but still happens. The difference is that we as Linux users feel it's slower than Windows or Mac. That is the real reason I stayed. Not because Linux is perfect. I stayed because every problem taught me something, and coming back or moving to another brand of operative systems would feel like a waste of potential to me.